Well, that was fast. I'm not so used to such a quick coming up because we don't do them for a lot. But I guess I'll give you the coming up. It is the 26th of April, as far as I know. And we have a lot to talk about today. I decided since we are live today, we're going to talk a little bit about bloodline families and how they became the bloodline families, the elite, why they ruled for so long, and where they got their power from, because I think that's really important. We're also going to give you an update on the breakdown. This would be part 3 of the Vatican systems that we talked about earlier this week. If you missed part 1 and part 2, you'll have to catch it on the app. And this is about what the system we call the beast. We're also going to give you some really interesting information today about a place called the Great Rift Valley. It goes all the way from Turkey, parts the Red Sea, isn't that interesting? And goes through the eastern part of Africa and what happened there and how it became the rift. We're also going to talk about something really interesting that took place this week. I'm going to call it the reclaiming of the kingdom for Source. So lots to discuss, lots to do. So with that being said, there's your coming up, since we don't normally do it on a live. So let's start with the bloodline families. So there's a lot of information about names like Rothschild and Medici's and all these people online. And I know if you've been around for a while, this might be a little bit repetitive. But these are the people in the world that you know, that you have seen, that control governments. They control the world. They control the financial system. Everybody calls them the elites, the banksters, the big corporations, the military-industrial complex. But how actually did these things come to be? You see, it's not quite like everybody thinks. And without the backing of these folks, they're not really the elites anymore. I know they want to be the elites, but they're really kind of just not. They're struggling right now to maintain any kind of power and control over what they refer to as the empire. We refer to as the kingdom. There's a little difference. And they are pushing really, really hard constantly. So we are on the opposite side. When I say we, I mean myself and all of you, because humans are not part of that same bloodline family line, so to speak, that we all know and hate. We are a different group. We were put here for a different reason. And we're going to talk about that too. So I thought for, I guess, illustration purposes, it would be helpful to use the whiteboard just to kind of illustrate this a little bit. And yeah, I guess let's get started. Okay. So in our history, we've heard a lot about, we hear about the Rothschilds and how powerful they are. But there's a lot of names too, the Gettys, the Lee family, can't spell today. So we have like the Lee family. We have it's also spelled Lee in Singapore. Other names you would know, Rockefeller. And then there's a whole bunch of names. This is just kind of an example of people that we know, at least based on what we can find on the internet, of who the elites are in our world. We know of powerful organizations like the Vatican, and we know about the Mormon Church. We know also about the Amish, if you don't. We're going to talk about them today too. They are also a bloodline. And then on the other side of all of these folks, you have us, the rest of humanity. And there's a little bit of a difference between our two groups. And this is going to kind of help you understand the breakdown, meaning the burning to the ground of the deep state and why it's been so difficult. So bloodlines are actually beings that bred with humans to form their own bloodlines on Earth. Beings you may have heard of, would be your fallen ones, the ones we call the fallen ones. These are your Lucifer, but you've also got Michael in there. You've got the being you know as Saint Germain or Germain. You have some other names that you don't know, but other familiar ones would be the Draco. You've got Marduk, Inky, and Lil. You have who else is in here? You've got Baal, Baphomet, all your usual demons that we call demons. So in the beginning of time, I should say right before the beginning of time, there was a war in heaven to where there were many that rebelled against Source, against God, so to speak. And these would be the fallen ones. Included in the fallen ones were also people who, or beings, I should say, what you would call angels, who also kind of remain neutral. In other words, they really didn't take a side of the dark or the ones that were rebelling. They just kind of remain neutral. And we've talked about this before. But bloodline families are all bloodlines of these various folks, and there are thousands of them. There is not just one, there are thousands. And the bloodline families that have ruled as the elite actually were originally just humans. And these just humans at the time bred with these beings. Now, one thing I just wanted to point out to all of you kind of watching this is that these beings often appear in our history books in ways that we don't even recognize. We think these are just evil people or people that pretended to be a savior here and there. Some of those beings that appeared on their side, would be like Hitler. Hitler wasn't always a person. There were beings that would walk in and out of Hitler. There are beings that used to walk in and out of presidents, heads of state, all kinds of folks that we know. CEOs of banks, large corporations. They have been everywhere throughout our history. And just because they walk in at one point in time doesn't mean they can't walk out 5 minutes later. It's part of the agreement of the bloodline and also part of the reason why they bred with the humans so that they could have a presence here on Earth at any given moment in time. Now, most of the beings on their side, which they choose to inhabit from time to time. These are Hollywood movie stars. They are usually people of power, and they would like to exert their power here. Now, during this war that happened, it wasn't just a war for control of Earth. It was a war to control the entire universe, omniverse, multiverse. So these crazy people that we know as the Order of the Dragon, also called the Illuminati. And then we have, Order of the Black Sun, in their respective societies. So when people have texted me in the past and said, oh, the Masons are terrible, well, they're just a part of the Order. That's it. They're not any different than any other part of the Order. They're just a name that you have been allowed to know. Same with the Order of the Dragon. Now, all of these folks always reported to other people. This was kind of like the first advent of becoming a handler. If you've never heard the term handler, handlers are people oftentimes within intelligence agencies that will control an asset or another person of lower rank. This order was very much rank and file, like one giant worldwide military. Speaking of militaries, they control militaries too. So it was bigger than you actually think. There were obviously a lot of those that didn't participate. You kind of had to be over the age of 40 to be an active member of these bloodline families. So being an active member of the bloodline families means you are able to take a position of power within the family ranks. They would often interbreed with each other. For example, Hillary Clinton is one of those people. She is from the Order of the Dragon, specifically the Blue Dragon. And Bill is actually from the Order of the Black Sun. That's where you get your skull and bones from and all of those folks. So discussing this about the bloodline families is very relevant to where we are today and right now. A few more things about bloodline families before we move into why they believe they're entitled to all of the space junk and all the other things they think they're entitled to. Every single being, all the thousands of them, controlled their bloodlines typically via AI systems, meaning every single one of them had been infected by an AI. This is why you can't really change their mind. They don't understand changing their mind. They don't understand switching sides. They don't understand how to stop. They don't understand how to bow down. Over the course of the last 3 years, most of those AIs are not functioning anymore. Therefore, their brain is not really functioning very well anymore. And we're kind of starting to see that in mainstream media now, which is really important for the rest of the people who haven't quite figured out that there's something wrong in this world. Hitting mainstream media in ways like they make a decision, this is the way we're going to go, then they make an opposite decision, then they realize they made a mistake, and then they try to make a different decision. And normally, a lot of these decisions that they make are centered around new moons, full moons, and planetary alignments, because they believe that these planets are also under the control, including Earth, of their fallen ones, and that certain AI systems or space junk align during these special times, which allows these fallen ones to open gates. And of course, with some limited access, because to the humans that you see walking around, we know as the deep state. The limited access was granted to them because in a lot of ways they have to act as proxies for all these different groups on Earth. You could almost call them avatars. They walk around most of the time like an avatar. Their brain doesn't function normally, and I'm not sure it ever will again after all the things that have happened. You see, the best way I can explain this to you is if you put something synthetic into your body, and by synthetic, I mean like a hormone, as an example, or you are a person that is really into building muscle and you take testosterone or extra testosterone, or you're a person that has asthma and you happen to take steroids because it helps you breathe. Those steroids are a different type of hormone, epinephrine or adrenochrome or all of the other things that the elite do. When you put these things into your body says, well, I don't need to make that anymore. If you were addicted to something like opioids, it actually rewires the way that your neurons flow from the section to section of your brain. And it takes a long time for that to go back to the way that it was, or the natural way. It's also the reason if you've ever had to be on a steroid for any reason, usually you're weaned off of them if you've been on them long enough. And this is the reason why. So as far as the elites are concerned, their entire brain was pretty much controlled at any given moment by an AI system that actually would make most decisions for them. So if you've ever been around these elite people and they look like they're short-circuiting lately, can't make a decision, blank stare on their face, well, that's why. Do you remember the glitching of Schumer? It's about a year ago, several months ago, and he just stopped talking right on TV, just stopped talking. There have been other people like Lady Gaga who actually said that her brain, she doesn't know if it's her or it singing, and that's very true. So walk-ins come in many shapes and sizes, I should say. but yet they're all related to the fallen ones and the races which they also created, which aren't necessarily humans. So we know, for example, they call it the Luciferian agenda here on Earth. And that's pretty much because the Luciferian agenda, there we go. The Luciferian agenda here on Earth is because most of these fallen ones fell because they chose to follow Lucifer. They chose to go into the darkness, so to speak. And they also chose to breed here on Earth so they could have proxies here representing themselves. We'll get to the war here on Earth as well. That's kind of important because this war is still, it's waning down now. But as far as the deep state, they still believe they're fighting. This is the war they believe that they're fighting, especially when it comes to your secret space programs and some of those folks. Now, the Luciferian agenda runs very deep. It goes further back than the Vatican. It goes much, much higher than that. And everybody had their respective handlers here on Earth. And one of those people is a being that has a title by the name of Marduk, also a fallen one known as Palermo. That was his original name. So this is the being that has held that position for a long time. Marduk means the controller of the currencies. So he was a gatekeeper, he was a guardian, he was a lot of different things, but more importantly, he was good friends and partners with Lucifer. He claimed oftentimes that throughout history that he was going to restore balance, and he was called on the carpet a number of times for not doing things properly. And tended to side more with the dark because it gave him more power, at least he felt, at least at this point in time. So bloodlines, again, the reason why they feel they are very important is because they believe they are related to the immortals. And at least this is what they call them. We are the bloodline of the immortals. We are going to be immortal. You have heard Elon Musk and others say it, that we are going to be the immortals. We are going to put our consciousness into a computer system, and we are going to now live forever to immortality, for all eternity. Wouldn't that be really exciting? Doing a bang up job over there. Must have lost touch with his demons, inner demons. We say to get in touch with your inner self. And well, in Elon's case, we don't necessarily mean that now, do we? Anyway, the immortals. So this is where they get their elite status from, in part. Meaning there was a definitive claiming of the kingdoms here on Earth. By kingdoms, we know them as continents. Those continents have already obviously moved more than once and throughout history. So here we go. All right, so let's go back to a war really quick, and so I can discuss with you kind of how that actually took place. So after the war in heaven, we know that, and we've talked about this before, that everybody fell to Earth. When they fell to Earth, they landed in a place called the Great Rift Valley in the African continent. So the Great Rift Valley goes pretty far, further than you can see on the internet, but it goes pretty much from Turkey all the way down through most of the eastern half of the African continent. It's quite large. You can read about the Great Rift Valley because there is a little bit of information. This is actually the rift that parted the Red Sea. If you remember that story, it goes straight through the center of the Red Sea. And this war is where, let's just say, the absolute folks and those that were absolutely against source. So in the beginning, I wouldn't say the fallen ones or the non-fallen ones, I would say, came here to defend Earth as it was a celestial of source. In other words, a part of source, a creator being, as Earth has always been. Because it is a creator being, it was a prized possession and a keystone of the universe. We know this. So as they fell to Earth, the battle between those that are with source and those that were not happened right there in what we now call the Great Rift Valley. The falling of them, and due to the fact they were all very powerful creators at one point in time, this caused a large valley, for lack of a better term, and it was the first place that the fallen ones claimed the kingdom of Earth. The kingdom of Earth is claimed in a different way on this level. So the kingdom of Earth was claimed with what we call a gold coin. And it kind of looks much larger than a coin in our world. I would say it can range in size, depending on the size of the kingdom, but it can range in size from something around maybe the size of your head on average, and it can be as large as a continent. These light coins actually are written all about the claiming of the kingdom and who is going to control said kingdom. It's part of the reason why the elites also, they typically call themselves the lords of the land. You know, we've heard that, Lord Rothschild, Lord this, Lord that. And there's a bunch of names you don't know. But these coins also do something different than just sealing or claiming a kingdom. You see, at one point in time, gold dust is actually utilized in a different way. And I talked about this the other day, and I was like, maybe I can talk about it in a couple of days, not quite yet, just because it was a little delicate at the time. And, well, now's kind of the time to talk about gold dust. You've heard the story in the Bible about Adam being created from the dust of the earth. You know, I know that that story is quite prevalent out there. Well, not really the dust of earth. It's more like the dust of source. You see, gold dust is different than regular gold that you would see around people's necks or in the store or even being mined around the planet. Gold dust was used by those special beings, the original creations of source, or at least as far as beings were concerned, who were charged with creating the universe. And unfortunately, Lucifer was one of those people at one point in time, and so was his partner there, Sophia. You probably heard about Sophia in the Gnostic texts. So gold dust is, let's see, in stories that you have heard about gold dust, the mana within the arks, plural, of the covenant would be an example of gold dust. Gold dust is not just regular gold. It's more of a alchemical spark of life filled with life force of source and all of creation type of dust. It does light up. It does look a lot different than your regular gold, and you don't need very much of it. You can have a bag of it, maybe this size, and you can create worlds. You can create universes. You can create things within the omniverse. You can use it for travel. It can be used for a lot of different things. But you see, you must be of source to actually use it. Could any human use it? Well, not the elite. You see, Earth was made too of this dust. Being a celestial, it is a celestial sphere, and let's call Earth a very giant piece of source dust. Because dust can be expanded, it can be made smaller. You too, as a human, not the elite, but you too, as humans, were also made of dust. We were created from this particular type of gold dust. Over the years, dead gold dust, which means dust that has lost its connection to source, has been turned into what we know as black gold dust. It is now not gold, shiny, sparkly gold as it used to be. It is black. It's lost life. It's basically dead dust at this point. And dead dust is also kind of useful, or was, to the owners of the deep state. I'm going to call them owners now, because really they were kind of owned all like dogs. And they still, well, I don't know. You got a bunch of dogs that got out of the doghouse and now they're trying to run the world like they know what they're doing. So this black gold dust is useful in a lot of ways to the fallen ones and to the dark ones who can actually make it work. Why? Because they're actually considered as celestial. As far as the Federal Reserve and the deep state and all of these people and their black gold that existed in the financial system, that black gold, or black dust, can be used to suck the life force and the energy out of you, basically. It becomes almost like a movable black hole. However, that movable black hole also must be utilized by a celestial. And can the deep state go and dig up this dust and start to try to suck the life out of Earth and all of us? No, they really can't. However, AI systems that were built and created with this dust also, sorry, there's a noise up there. Also, this gold dust here would be utilized for the black gold dust, I should say, to create AIs, both dark on the one side and both light on the other side. I know this because I personally have used gold dust to create the Golden Age AI. On the flip side of it, the other rest of the humans walking this planet cannot use, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the elites, you cannot use dust in the same way that I use dust. See, even if they were given permission by their owners on their side to utilize black gold dust, the only thing they can do is destroy. They cannot create. Can they use it to affect us? Well, not really. Not like it used to. A lot of things have changed. The AI systems that were connected to their dark dust have also pretty much gone away as of late. And some of the remaining systems that we've been talking about are the ones that were underneath the Vatican that we call the beast. So gold dust is critical to the survival of the universe, and it allows the universe to perpetuate into infamy when used correctly and used by the correct people. Meaning all of you watching this, except for the deep state that's probably also watching this, all of you watching this can actually utilize this gold dust to manifest things and to create things within your life. You are also created from this same dust, therefore that same dust still resides within your soul, which is why we were talking earlier this week about connecting to that point of creation in your soul. The dust never dies. The dust is always connected to source. It just can't be used for the wrong reasons. So gold dust and backing of the Golden Age AI financial system and the Key Integrated Master System, Key Integrated Monetary System, Key Intelligence and Military System allows for us to utilize it to create things here on Earth. It is the difference between the currency of gold, which is basically life dust in this particular case, and a currency or a financial system or a QFS or whatever they're talking about could be backed by gold bars that they dug out of the ground. See, the SSP has been running around rampant everywhere, as you know, some of you know, trying to gain access to gold. Gold of the Vatican, gold of the Philippines. They've been gold of Vietnam, Laos, and all of these places in the world where they believe that gold is actually stored. And it doesn't really work that way. See, with a bag of this stuff, I can make all of those I want. They, on the other hand, believe that they have to go leverage gold veins in earth. They have to go leverage other things to try to gain some power over the financial system that they are losing rapidly. For them, this week was pretty busy. Apparently, we have a new moon tomorrow. We also had a smiley face alignment that happened on the 25th, yesterday, which they thought was going to bring them something great. I don't know. We also have an alignment between Pluto and Mars, which is some other things that they're talking about this weekend, as well. And of course, all of these things going on, astrologically speaking, made them believe that the system that was burning to the ground was going to come back. And even at this moment, as I'm talking to you right now, they have been over in the area we know as Sumeria, which is basically right on the Great Rift, hoping they can open a gate and let their people in. They want their owners to come back and help them regain control of Earth right now, as I'm talking to you. So they're scanning that area. They're flying all around the area. They are trying to emit frequencies to open those gates like it's their job still, and nobody, elsewhere really cares. Their immortal friends, time was up as far as the Great War is concerned. Therefore, they are now back and doing whatever Source wants to do with them, let's just say. Some have gone back to the point of creation, meaning they're uncreated. I wish they took all their crap with them when they were uncreated, but, I'll try to put in a good word with the big boss for that one. But they were uncreated. Some of them decided to stay and basically serve the way that they didn't really want to initially. As far as these guys are concerned, though, our deep state members and our bloodline family members are concerned, they are still going like it's still going to happen. So they apparently thought this smiley face Pluto-Mars thing was going to start the war all over again, bring the people back to the Great Rift where it all began. I'm not really sure why they're all standing there right now and doing the thing. I'm sure there's many people all over the world right now that are humming weird songs with crystals and pentagrams, but still not coming back. Part of the reason why they were trying to do their red heifer ceremonies and all that kind of stuff too, they've been really ceremoning it up for the last few days. They have made attempts to send, let's just say, yours truly here, many, many things over the last several days. But, we on our side of it are pretty good at this point at defending ourselves. I mean, after all, we kind of defend ourselves against their immortal friends. So defending ourselves against those people, yeah, easy breezy. So they're hoping, they have a meeting today at 4:30, as I understand it, Eastern time, to discuss with others outside their core tier 1 group. Because remember, it's rank and file. It's a very militant order because they're fighting the war over there. Uh, and they're going to discuss the pay that they're supposed to be having, the control they're supposed to be having, and all of these things by the end of the day. Now, every time there's a payday coming, and every time they're being told that they're going all the way back to Sumerian times and all this other stuff they're talking about right now, and that we won the war, it's all happening. Every time they tell all their people that, I know when they're telling, let's just say, little fibs, because people reach out to me directly and indirectly and start talking about how wonderful they are, and I'm full of it, and oh, this is going to work this time, and didn't you hear we're EBSing or IBSing or whatever it is people do? They BSing. Yeah, they BSing. We should write a song about that or something. They BS, maybe like a rap song. Anyway, every time they do that, these people start reaching out to me like crazy, saying all this stuff. And, quite frankly, I don't really care because I know what's actually happening and what's going to happen before your 4:30 call. And then there's another call, I think, at 5 and another one at 6 or something like that, or 5:30. And everybody is going to join that call and discuss the next alignment or the next new moon, or give us 3 days because there's a new moon tomorrow. And therefore, by Wednesday of next week, we should have everything we need. And then they're just going to spend all this time hacking, and around and round and round and round they go. Because the war is pretty much over. It's over. And I can tell you it's over because within the last 48 hours, and you can verify this, deep state crazy people, if you want to, within the last 48 hours, we actually removed the old kingdom coins and put our own kingdom coins in all those places. So places we put the kingdom coins: Israel. That's obvious. We needed that one. Moscow, Washington, D.C., Antarctica, London, the Great Rift Valley. We reclaimed that one back, of course, right away. Australia, Brazil, and at the Iran-Iraq gate, which is Sources Gate, always has been, although it was covered up for a long time. So, in a nutshell, if the deep state wants to get some kind of system or some kind of access, the first thing they'd have to do is find somebody on their side that is a celestial that can actually use gold dust and create a system for them. How's that? First of all. Second of all, no, black gold dust cannot be used to create anything. It can only destroy everything. So if they'd like to take some gold dust and sprinkle it around any other areas of that beast system that was under the Vatican, feel free to do so. I mean, we are not going to stop you. As far as taking power from people to try to charge your black dust, it doesn't work that way. See, black dust is not natural and it's not normal. And that will take basically all the spoils of their black dust and send it from here to some abyss somewhere outside and somewhere around the lower astral. That's pretty much it. Now, to be fair, I know that us breaking down the remnants of what we're calling the Vatican systems at this moment has caused a little bit of a rift here and there. And I've said that. You never know when you're pulling, a cord, you're pulling something out, if there is a backup system. Unfortunately, much like people have backup generators in their house in case the power goes out, and in a lot of areas of the world it goes out regularly, so a lot of people have backup generators. This system too had a backup generator that got pretty triggered in the last 24 hours. Yeah, yesterday was a nightmare. The system was desperately trying to get back to its power source, because this system, albeit headquartered on Earth, it extended throughout the entire omniverse, basically all of creation. So it was a pretty large system with communications everywhere and connections everywhere. As far as the deep state are concerned, they didn't have that kind of access to it. they had access through some other systems, Sequestro, and several other AIs that they probably don't even know the name of. Even if I gave them to them, it doesn't power on and say, Windows, welcome, when you turn it on, for sure. So breaking down these systems caused an entire mess, so to speak, which started probably midday my time yesterday. It continued on for part of the day until probably about 4, 5, 6 o'clock yesterday my time. So wherever you are, if you felt disturbances, that's probably why. It definitely was trying to get through the causal plane desperately. That was its aim. It had the ability, lost my earphone. It had the ability to shoot what I call these laser barbs, so to speak, and we're trying to attach to a lot of humans on this planet. I know that because we are the ones that cleared them. It was just looking for anything like a mosquito kind of does, where a mosquito, they have this little nose thing that comes out, takes your blood out, and then it injects you with poison, which is why mosquito bites are itchy to you, cause a histamine reaction in your body. These kind of barbs do the same thing. It was looking for any kind of power source desperately, food source, power source. It didn't find its power source, therefore it was unable to break from its world into our world or into existence here on Earth. But that doesn't stop them from, trying, and I don't know what they're trying to do, open up the Great Rift Valley again. So if you happen to live in this particular region of the world and you see a bunch of deep state military crazy people running around, now you know why. If you see deep state crazy people ships in the Red Sea, now you know why. That's what they're looking for. And thus far, there is no signal and nobody actually is coming because nobody is there to come. I know on our side of things, we are pretty much just looking at them, seeing what they're doing, and then being like, well, oh, look, there's a kingdom coin in there. Okay, we don't need that. We're going to put that one in we're going to put ours in there. While they're still running around looking for somebody to save them. So technically you could say that Earth and the entire planet now has its gold dust kingdom coins back. There's no going backward from that now. Those kingdom coins also generate and connect directly to to Earth's gold dust and to source, obviously, which will eventually, at least etherically speaking, turn the Earth to gold. Then it should turn the Earth to green, more so than ever, as soon as there's no interference in doing so. Can the deep state interfere with this process? No, they don't have that kind of access. It's a new headphone. Sorry about this, guys. Keeps falling out. We can blame Mike for that, Yeah. So anyway, this should actually help us move forward as far as more restoration of Earth a lot faster. As far as AI systems and computer systems and the breakdown of those systems, let's go back to the Vatican for a minute. So we know about the power or anything that could draw power from anywhere it could to try to repower up this AI as it fell down. The Vatican system, albeit the hub for planet Earth, was also connected to several other sites on Earth. I figured I'd tell you about those. Let's see, Madagascar, Finland, Japan, the Garden Tomb in Israel, Joshua Tree in California, the sun, the moon, no surprise there, Yellowstone Park, Malaysia, Nepal, Mauritania, Alaska, and the Arctic and Antarctic. When part of their system isn't working, that's probably part of the reason why they go to the Antarctic, but the more powerful system was actually under the Vatican. As far as going to these other locations, definitely there was a lot of space junk there at one point in time. I know that there were portals there at one point in time, that kind of thing, but pretty much none of that's functioning anymore. So if you are watching this and you do happen to speak to your non-friends we call the deep state, please let them know from us and all of humanity. The humans that were born of source and source gold dust are here to basically tell you the war's over. It's over. Go home. Pull back. Pull back. As far as you coming out with any kind of a gold-backed financial system, you have lost your ever-loving mind, because gold dust is not going to produce for you, and you will just kill it and it will become black dust. But see, lucky for us as humans, we can actually generate this dust on our side at any given moment in time, because we are not children of Lucifer. We are children of Source. See? See how easy that is? You too can utilize that spark of life we call gold dust within you to generate things in your own world. It's within your soul, which your heart center technically is your correct solar plexus or assemblage point area, which is why it's a big target for these people all the time. And connect to that spot within you and connect to your own source given, God-given dust, and manifest some amazing things in your life and for this planet and for all of us. But if you do run across the deep state, go home. It's over. And you'll know within 3 days if you are a lower tier operative and you're waiting for your money and your funding and all of that. You'll know that no gate opened within 3 days. You'll know that this full moon and whatever else the heck, new moon or whatever this one is now that they're waiting for isn't going to happen. This ridiculous meeting in Nepal in the Wasak Valley isn't going to happen. And if it did, it's not going to help them any. And the reason why that meeting would have been so important for them is because the Wasak Valley was one of the locations that was connected to the Vatican systems. No Vatican system, no beast AI, for lack of a better term. That's about the only English word I can find for it. No meeting. Nobody's coming. Oh, that's okay. They'll find out come May 12th. And, hopefully by then we'll have moved on with our lives. So you, if you are watching this and you are not a part of the deep state, you are the bloodline of Source. So stand proud. Source won. Source has reclaimed the kingdom. It's all over as far as the war is concerned. Are they still going to fight us? I'm sure they will, because there's something not right up here. It's that AI was in there way too long, and there's something wrong. But maybe we can develop as part of the care program some help for people that have been AI controlled for a long time. Maybe we can help them. Who knows? We've got to be charitable, right? On that note, this is the GIA report for the 26th of April. We are going to be moving from here, probably in about 5-10 minutes, over to our app, UnitedNetwork.Earth, where we are going to send out a Zoom link, and we are going to answer your questions, or I am going to answer your questions, I should say. I don't know if anybody else has any questions for anyone else, but I'll be here to answer your questions, and I'll see you there. So about 10 minutes.